Hello, hello. Welcome to the Introvert Social Hour. My name is KaVonna, and today we are doing a special Mother's Day episode. We are talking about it's mom's first time too. And of course, for the third time now, or fourth time? No, you've been on at least four times at this point now. This is the fourth time at least.
Fourth time.
Yeah, because you were on the Love is Blind episode. I'm bringing back my mom, woo, 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 for the episode. And this time you get to see her because we're doing all like virtual Zoom kind of vibe thing. So you get to see her officially as a video, unless you are listening to it somewhere else. But Spotify does have the video. So if you want to go watch it, you go on Spotify or YouTube. But that's just a heads up. But yeah, so we're talking about that today. And I wanted to bring this up. We've talked about Adventures of Motherhood before, a few seasons back. We've done like mother-daughter catch-up. That was last season, season 3. And so this time around, I kind of wanted to pull up this idea of like, okay, it's mom's first time too, of kind of remembering how parents are parents for the first time and they're figuring it out, especially as like a firstborn. Like we really are the guinea pigs. And so like, giving grace to that. Hey, you didn't know what you were doing. We're going to talk about it. You were figuring it out.
Listen, it just came natural, okay? I knew what I was doing.
Okay. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that. But giving grace as well. It's like parents are still humans. Parents are, still people and are still going through things like that. So we're going to talk about that and dive in there. But I have a question for you first. If you were to describe your parenting style in a few words, what would you say?
In which chapter of life with you and your brother or your siblings?
Thank you for acknowledging that. Because you do have, it's switched up. I mean, you can give what it is now. Yeah.
I think now I'm more compassionate. I'm more understanding. I make the attempt to listen instead of just going off. I try to hear both sides. An example would be, the teacher called and said this, and he responded like this, and it's kind of like, okay, well, what happened before then? So like, yeah, you were being disrespectful to my child. No, he should not have responded like that, and he needs to watch his tone talking to an adult. But I do understand why, he gave that response. Versus with you and your brother, since you all are child 1 and 2, I would say was more like, why'd you do that? You don't do that. And I didn't really listen to you all, as now with your siblings, I do.
Yeah. I would like to say I didn't really get in trouble. So just like
no, you
that.
Didn't. KaVonna did not get in trouble, world. She really didn't.
There were times I did, but even then, you were like,
Because it wasn't really nothing. Like, what you do? Cut your Barbie hair or something? Cut your Bratz hair?
Well, at school, I think the main one I always remember is when I got in school detention in middle school, like twice.
Well, you broke down because you got detention, so you punished yourself. You was about to pass out.
I had a record to obtain. So yeah, but I would say those are the only times, but they weren't my fault, which is why I was really annoyed. I think that's why I cried, because I was mad. But yes. Yeah. Okay, cool. That's good to know. I am curious then. So, what would you compare your other style to? So you gave the word like compassionate and other things like that. What would the words be for the style originally? If there was a style, because like I said, things got figured out along the way too.
I won't say it was a style. It just was kind of like, oh, you were being disrespectful. Not so much you, mainly your brother, but like you were being disrespectful. Like you shouldn't have did this. You shouldn't. I didn't want to hear the why or what happened. It was like, I didn't care. You did that. So I don't know off the top of my head. I can't think of what that would say. Probably just maybe being a young parent, having
like more reactive.
Yeah, at that time, didn't have the skills or the patience or the knowledge that I grew into having now, which is why y'all say they get away with a little more, but they don't.
They do.
I still
and
keep
I'm pretty sure if you're oldest like sibling with like decent age gaps between your other siblings, put in the comments for my mom because you can relate. You can relate. Go ahead, put them in
Y'all
the
just started
comments.
all over. That's the thing. I had you so young.
Yeah.
So if you
And,
think at the age your sister is now, is kind of like where you and I were.
yeah.
Actually, you were older than your sister is now when I was your age.
Oh, well, yes, yeah, because we have a
So,
larger gap. Yeah.
right.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I mean, yeah, that's what I said. Look, there's grace there. Once again, for the people who are hopping in, make sure you go listen to Adventures of Motherhood because that provides more context. We're not going to go into like the whole shebang, but as she just mentioned, I am like she had me young. I am the oldest child, so there's some additional context there as well. And then it's like I'm one of six, so there's a lot of us. Um, moving into what's something people might not know about you as a mom.
Ooh,
This is general. It doesn't have to be necessarily specifically like us, like as your kids, but also could just be like general to people you may
that's
know.
a good question. Well, first, when people they don't know, they don't think that I have six kids. When I say six kids, they're like, oh my gosh, how do you take care of them? And I'm like, I work. Thank you.
Also, people
Um,
think you're young, like young, so they're like maybe you might have like two. They don't think like you're in a.
yeah,
They think you're my sister. So
yeah,
then
and
they're like,
and
how
your
do you have
sister is
six
your
kids?
daughter.
Yeah, yeah,
It kind of trickles down like that. I
yeah.
don't know what people
Okay.
may not think. I think maybe that I have a relationship with each and every one of you, which I think most people
I
do. I
think
think
that's
that's kind of the myth, though, when people have more than two or three kids, people think there's some estranged kid somewhere. In some situations, there are, and that's just based on that family dynamic.
right.
But I can't think of something that people wouldn't just know. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm
If
pretty
it, if it
open.
comes to you, yeah, if anything comes up, feel free to drop it back in. I'm curious if anything does. Um, so I'm going into the idea of it's mom's first time too. When you think back to the first time you became a mom, what did that experience actually feel like day to day? Like, I feel like, apparently, you're talking about the labor of it all. I was taking you through a lot just to bring me in here. But
We're going to
I'm
say
curious if
22 and a half hours and 6 minutes to be
I've
exact.
paid my debt. So
Okay. Okay.
yeah, I've paid my debt.
Hmm.
But what does that look like for the day to day of it all after that? Were we like, poof, what were we discovering?
Well, um, having you so young, like for me, you already know your grandmother wasn't like I'm the babysitter type. So there was no prom. There was no going to hang out. There was no going to the skating ring back in the day. Take your baby with you. So,
Mhm.
for me, it was just making sure that you were okay. You were a crybaby. World, she was a cry baby, very, very colicky, gassy, whatever you want to call it. Um, but once we passed that, you were cool, chill. But I took you to school with me. I was still in high school. So I had to take you to school with me. So it was just like I have this extra responsibility on top of going to school, waking up in the middle of the night. All the things you hear about as first time moms. But I was in high school, and I'm sure other teen parents can relate to that, whether they're a teen parent now, teen parent back in the day, not too far back in the day, but back in
Yeah.
the day. But yeah, that was it. Just like, okay, I'm not just getting up going to school. I'm not just coming home doing whatever. I have this child to watch after,
Yeah, so it was
I'm
more so
super
just
responsible.
yeah, way more responsibility. The time still stays the same, so it's like you're trying
Right,
to fit in more in a singular day again.
right.
Um, what are some moments where you realize I'm figuring this out as I go, where like you allowed yourself to be like, okay, I've made that mistake, I've learned from that mistake, and we move forward. Whether it's something as simple as, a random diaper change or, you know, something, even like a potty training lesson along the way where you're like, okay, sorry, this kid had this struggle. I'm going to do it a little bit differently this way, because that was but also kids are different too. So I acknowledge that.
I was just going to say that each of you all were different. And because after you, I had 4 boys, it was different. And each of them were different.
Yeah, they all are.
So, I would just say patience, that whole let the baby tire themselves out. I think after I had your brother, and then once I had the 3rd child, it was like, yeah, no, that's not it. We're going to stick to a routine now. But then also, once I had my 3rd child, I was a lot older. I was not in school anymore. I was working. I had my own place. Things looked a lot different for me at that point in time. But then it was like I had 3 of you all, but still it wasn't, and then you liked him, you thought he was your little baby. So, you may take him for like 15 minutes or so until he spit up on you, and, then it was okay.
Yeah. No, yeah, all of the things.
Right.
No, that's which is so interesting. I'm curious, in what ways did you feel pressure from like the outside world, either from yourself or from the outside world, to have everything together, even when you didn't, or even if was that the case? Did those moments ever come up?
I never felt pressured because me as your mom, I always go to the beat of my own drum. What people may look at from the outside, that could be the case, that may not be the case, but I'm going to go at the speed and the pace that's for me. So I never felt pressured when it came to you all, or even now. It's just kind of like, this is my walk of life. It is what it is. I'm doing what I can do to the best of my ability, and hey, mind your business if you're not trying to help. But I'm blessed at this point. I mean, it came a long way. I'm blessed in my career, and I'm blessed, through everything that's going on. So I actually don't feel pressure now, or then. I did not.
Well, that's good. Yeah. No, I assume not now. And I was like, well, probably not even then too, just knowing you. But I was
Just
like, I
my
was just wondering.
personality.
Yeah. So I was like, it's worth an ask to see if that was the case.
I am a true Scorpio, world, okay? I am a true
Gosh.
Scorpio. Kiana is a true Scorpio, okay?
And that she is. Yes. With parenting without a manual, what were the hardest parts of parenting that no one prepared you for outside of, I would say in general, so moving out of like the early days, something I think about is like nobody, like you think you have it down packed with 1 kid or 2 kid or 3 kid, and then kid number 4 or 5 comes along and you're like, oh, okay, I got to learn something new. I feel like that's one of the things, but I'm curious if you agree with that, and also what other things out there.
I think preteen, going into teen, going into young adulthood, that phase, I'm not going to say you, but like your brothers, I'm going to use them because, hey, when they think they know it all and they think they got it all until they realize they don't know it all. And it's like, hey, mom, that
Yeah.
14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21.
Oh, well, you got a long way to go. Not many of us made it past those
That
ages
junior
yet.
high school, fresh graduation from high school phase is just like, it irks my soul. And I think more so because I didn't experience that with you, that is the reason why it was like that.
Yeah.
I think
No, I
so.
can see that. I think for me, I'm very well. I mean, I think now you clear the air a bit more, but I know like earlier you used to be like, oh my gosh, KaVonna had such an attitude. You talked
Indeed.
back. But I think I was valid, but in a way, I could have handled it better.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, it was very teenage, emotional things for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But my feelings were valid. I just didn't approach them properly. That's all.
I can agree with that.
Yeah, but I definitely think for me outside of that too was I was also just very much like I was to myself and I just knew what I wanted to get done. I think
Mm-hmm.
being a little hyper independent because I'm trying to loosen that up a little bit, but like I didn't really need much, like actually didn't need much because I made sure I had the tools versus like, some of them may not have the tools and think they have it, and then you're like, hey, you should probably listen to my advice.
And they don't
um
listen until after the fact, and it's like, oh, so you kind of doing
yeah,
what I told you to do like 4 months ago. And even
yeah,
when I try to put it in a way where it's like I'm not telling you, I'm trying to like give you a little insight so it don't seem kind of like, oh, yeah, so it's
mhm.
kind of like that fall on your posterior since you think you got it all until you realize you don't have it all.
Yeah, I think it's a fall, like what, like a lesson learned kind of thing. You just figure it
Mm-hmm.
out. Um, which some need more than others. I don't even know. I don't know. That's why, like, you're right. Like, for me, it was just a bit different because I had goals. I was like, I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to get to college. I don't even know what anybody else got to say. I'm figuring this out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so that was kind of where I was at. But yeah, that's true. Like, even when you're figuring out your path, uh, taking all that advice. Um, I'm curious of moments where you had to make a decision, but you didn't necessarily have a clear answer for it just yet. So how did you go about that when those cases appeared? Because I feel like you probably do have some. I'm giving you time to kind of like think of some at this moment as I'm rambling a little bit, but if you
Moments
do,
being a mom.
yeah. So where you're just like you had to make a decision, but you didn't necessarily have a clear answer, so you had to really kind of like think about it a bit more.
So the first thing that comes to mind is um relocating.
Mm-hmm.
And when we lived in that townhouse, and so basically, so I'm not confusing anyone, we lived in a townhouse, nice new redevelopment, but like if you come out the townhouse and hit a few corners, yeah, you better go back up that hill.
Yeah.
So basically one night someone was chasing someone and they started shooting in our house, got caught in the crossfire as well as the neighbor's house, and everything was shattered. And I had just went upstairs. I was 9 months pregnant. I had just went upstairs, didn't know that the house was messed up until came downstairs the next morning and was like, whoa, it was riddled. And so making that decision, not knowing how it was going to be done, was like, yeah, me and my kids are not about to stay here. Like, we got to relocate. I don't know how it's going to be done. I didn't have anything saved up at that time, but it was just like, we got to go. But it all worked out. And then I moved back closer to my mom and my job at that time. But that's the first thing that literally comes to mind when something like that happens. Um, I gotta go. I can't stay nowhere. Where I live is like my peace and my little sanctuary. I'll be by
Should
my
feel safe.
candles and my incense, and I gotta be able to sleep. So that's the first thing that comes to mind.
No, yeah. No, that makes sense. I was thinking because my brain was wondering where you're going because I was thinking of a different one for a minute, but
Oh,
that one makes before you even said the scenario, but
hmm,
yeah, that makes sense because it's a lot of uncertainty, especially when you like have kids to take care of.
hmm.
So no, that definitely makes
What were you
sense.
thinking of?
Well, I was thinking of like I didn't know what you were gonna say, like whether it's like Oliver. Fun fact, we had potential spooky Yukis
Oh,
in the
yeah,
townhouse.
yeah.
So we that wasn't a purposeful move necessarily. I know, but that was like that's something to consider. You're like, ooh, I
But
gotta
if you
get out of here.
think we moved from that townhouse to the spooky ooky townhouse, remember?
Yeah, yeah, no, yeah, that's what I'm saying because I remember the pattern. Yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, we weren't up in
But
there
I'd
for too
rather be
long.
at the spooky ooky townhouse with the flying bullets, okay? Spooky, spooky
Yeah,
me.
not. I, no, I used to be so uncomfortable. Side note, I because I've said this too in the in the Halloween episode I did with like Sabrina and Nicole, we were talking about maybe like spooky experiences. I used to always remember like because my room was right by the top of the staircase. And I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
I just always felt comfortable. I felt like someone was staring at me when I had my
Mm-hmm.
door open, and you'd always be like, "Don't close your door," and I'd be like, "But I don't like it," because it felt like somebody was like
I was
looking at
telling
me.
my Nicole that the other day about that story, and then even when your brother's grandfather came and prayed over the house and the oil, but it worked out because we stayed there 6 months because it was like you did kind of get a feeling of like something. It was kind of eerie. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And then fun fact, you did find out that someone had passed away. So that was just
Hmm.
also like, so side note, I might clip this so people can hear that story. Um, but yes, that was a quick side note there. But yeah, no, that 100% makes sense, especially in case scenarios where, not everybody's living in these like hot, uh, fancy antsy, places. People have to make decisions off of like income based stuff too. It's like,
Hmm.
so that's really important. Um, I wanted to go into, seeing your mom as a person, not just a parent. And so I want both of our perspectives, me as the daughter and then also you as a daughter. Um, and so I do want to ask, like, growing up, how did you see your mom? Did you think about her as someone figuring things out, or did you see her as a mom? Or
Oh,
what?
she was my mom.
It,
Oh, you're little like mom is mom. Mom's gonna make everything happen. All you see is snacks and food. You know you could turn the lights on. You know you're gonna have some water. You're gonna get in that car. Mom's gonna go to the mall, to the store, wherever, and it's just mom. I don't think that kids
when would you
actually
say it?
see it maybe until they're like, I'm gonna say 15, 16, depending on the kid.
Yes,
Depending
yeah.
on the kid.
Okay.
Because I have an 18-year-old and he just think that I made a Roblox cash or something. Like, you know how the
Yeah,
little character,
PlayStation Bucks or whatever they call them.
yeah, whatever. Just I don't know.
Yeah.
Nothing,
Yeah.
he doesn't think until I break it down. So, yeah, I didn't see my mom like that.
So when
Um,
would you say, you mentioned like 15, 16, when would you say you started being like, oh, snap? I would assume probably 15, 16 for you because then you became one. So maybe that opened your eyes up a bit more, or when would you say you were like, oh, like, she's figuring things out. Like she still
Probably for
doesn't
me
have
like
answers.
13ish.
Okay.
And I say that because it would be like I gotta go to the store. But or this is what, let me say, she would say stuff like, well, this is what we have until I get paid. And it was at that moment, I was like, well, you get paid. Like, girl, I want this now. Like, it was kind of a moment like, no. Or I remember a school dance and like I wanted my hair flat iron with my little finger waves and all of that stuff. And she was like, well, when I get paid, you could do that and then get you something to wear, which I did. I went to this little store at the mall and I got my hair done at JCPenney Studios, okay? And hurry up and get to the dance. But it was on a Friday, so it was still like wait to payday. And it was like, wait, she can't do this, like I wanted to do this like Wednesday or Thursday. So I could wear my hair to school before, but that wasn't the case. So I think maybe for me it was like around junior high, sixth, seventh grade.
Okay. No,
Eighth.
yeah, that's actually a good note because I would say for me, probably the same. I was thinking about this before we got on. I was like, probably around middle school as well, because like I feel like in elementary it's like, girl, what you talking about? We can't eat out. What you talking about? You don't have McDonald's money. Like I
Think I
think,
was being mean, huh?
yeah, I think for sure elementary school was still there. I think middle school also, especially like when like Keon come, or child number three comes to the picture and things like that. And so then you start to see more layers, as also being someone who's in middle school, and then there's now like a baby, because at first it was just me and other child number two, so it was just us, and we're kind of like close in age, so then we don't see that other part that comes in until there is another child, and we see you then taking care of that child, and we're also the children that she's taking care of,
Right.
um and seeing that balance. So I'd probably say that for sure. Yeah, I was 6 to middle school time frame, and then it just got more clearer and clearer over time. I think you just get more information for
Mm-hmm.
sure. And then it goes from there. Um, what would you, I, when you became a parent yourself, though, did you see how that kind of maybe like enhanced or like changed your relationship with your mom? Like, did you notice any differences once you did become a parent, or did that happen as you became a parent of multiple kids over time?
I'm going to say I don't think so.
Okay.
I just knew when I had you, it was like reality for me. It was like, okay, formula, I got to get this kid some clothes. Which you had a lot of clothes, I remember, but you're getting dumb. Hey, I was materialistic back at that
Hmm.
point. So at that point, for my era, it was like everybody was wearing Old Navy and Gap. So for you,
Yeah.
it was like, oh, this baby, hint your 1 month picture, which you got on Jordans and
Those baby Jordans. Yeah. I'll see if I
yeah,
can find it and just put it there.
right.
Picture.
So I'm saying that to say it just came like this is what I got to do. I don't say I looked at my mom different. She would help me how she could, but she was still working herself,
Hmm.
as well as my sister was there, but she was in college.
Hmm.
And then at that point, I want to say I don't know if she was in her sorority yet or whatever, but anyway, she had a lot going on herself. So it was just like, it's me. And then, your dad was, cities over and, uh, yeah, I didn't look at my mom different. It was just like, this is what I got to do.
Okay. Cool. Cool. Because I always wonder, like, it's like if once you become a mom, it's like, oh, okay, I understand some things now. Things are clicking. For now going back to when I grew up, there's a perspective that didn't click until then. So that's why I
It's just you
asked. I
got to
was
put your
wondering.
kids first, so it can be like, oh, I want these. Look, back then, I need these K Swiss, okay? I wouldn't get no K
No,
Swiss because KaVonna needs some diapers. Like,
got you. Yeah.
that's
Hmm.
that's what it was.
Yeah, and that makes sense. Yeah, that is a mind switch in itself. Yeah.
Right.
Um, would you say, or I guess my next question is, how would you say you found, or if you're still finding a balance between, having your own personal identity in life and also being like a mother, like that motherhood of it all? How do you balance those out? Because I know a lot of people mention, like, like when you're a mom, it kind of consumes, and like you are mom. But
I
also
agree.
it's like, how do you, are you still discovering how to find that balance to give more time to, Kiana outside of being the mom?
I There's no balance right now in this moment.
Okay.
I can
Have you
say
ever
that.
found any, or do you do this
I think
sometimes?
that's it. I think I do
Okay.
like
Yeah.
I think that, and it's because I have you and your brother, 20s.
Mhm.
Then I have two teens, a preteen, and a second grader
Yeah.
who
So
think
you have.
that she hasn't reached that part till she realizes. Everywhere we go, she has to get something and something, something, something. But I've been saying no a lot more lately. So I have to be prepared for all of these different kind of conversations and text messages and from 6 humans
And
plus a
different
dog.
stages.
So
So yeah, all he wants is some food and he's
look,
chilling.
and a husband. So
Yeah.
and a mama and a daddy. And that's
And
so
yeah.
yeah, no, but that's something that I'm working on, but it's just not there yet. And so out of
Mhm.
everything, it is the mom of it all, but
Mhm.
mine looks a little different. It's the mom, it's
Mhm.
the wife, it's the daughter, it's the everything. That's
Yeah.
so
No,
yeah.
that makes sense. If you ever want to get into Lego,
No.
Just let me know.
Yeah, no, I don't have Lego money. Mm-mm.
I think not I mean probably an occasional build. I wouldn't recommend doing what I did because I was just looking at that today. I said, how much money did
Yeah.
I spend
No,
on
give me
Lego
a
last
pair of
year?
shoes. Thank you.
Yeah,
Let me
that's
put
where
on my new
you
shoes and walk in a Lego aisle. Hey.
yeah, right. You would
Yeah.
not you could buy me one. That's fine. That's funny. Um going into moments we didn't understand then but now. I would say are there things hmm what's something you used to say or do that I might understand better now? I'm thinking I want to
Mm.
answer this a little bit and then I'm curious if you have or should you want to answer first? Do you want to put
Something
a
that I
theory
used to say
or do
or
that I might
do.
understand now?
Something that I used to say or do. I don't know. I say all kind of stuff.
You sure do. And the fact that you don't remember is bananas. You're
Until
like,
I
I
get
said
ready to
that?
say it again. I,
Yes.
I don't know. And I say a lot of stuff my granny used to say. You know, I be coming with her old
The
Southern
old things.
1924 sayings. Okay. So
Yeah.
I don't know. What are you thinking?
Mm, I don't know. I guess like the funnier one would be like, when people are like, "Do you do you got McDonald's money or do you got this or that?" And it's like, like yeah, like that was a joke, but also at the same time, it's like you're asking for all this and we don't have it. Like we got food
Mm-hmm.
at home, kind of thing. We
Right.
got food at home is
But I stick
another
by that
thing.
too more so now. And I just think
Yeah,
as I'm older, I look at food differently in the
yeah,
sense of like this stuff is crap. Or like when you step on a scale and you see how fast you gain something, but you may not have ate 100% bad. Just I look at stuff different versus you guys used to
yeah,
ask. And I used to be like, okay, we could go there or we could go there. You know, now it's I can't remember the last time they had McDonald's. They was asking
yeah,
yesterday though, but
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, that one. Well, I mean, I've kind of started taking things out of my like food category. Also, I think
mhm.
eating out is something that is hard because for me as someone who's also like counting calories and stuff now, like you could have a whole Shake Shack meal. That's more than half of your calories for the day
Or
just for
if
one
not
meal.
all, depending on what you're eating.
Yeah. So then it's like,
Even
and then it's
Jamba
plus all the
Juice.
salt.
Remember, I used to
Yeah.
be a Jamba Juice addict. I haven't had Jamba Juice in probably like 6, 7 years. I haven't had
Mm,
Starbucks in a year and a half. I get my little
mm,
skinny mix syrups. I got some in my office at work,
mm.
some here at home. I get my little Nescafe or whatever coffee. And I am
All
the
the
Kiana
syrups.
Easter, okay? Because I just you look at stuff
Yeah.
different and then you look at the money you spend. I was spending a lot of money at Starbucks at one point in time for absolutely nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. Everything costs more. You realize you can make a lot of that stuff at home.
Mm-hmm.
Especially now that you can get like cold foams and stuff at the store.
Yeah,
So like
all
I
of
I
that.
get like chais.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes I'll go to like a quick like a coffee shop or something and like get a little
But that's
pastry and a
fair
little
for
chai.
you.
Yeah, because it's just there's just like more random stuff to find here. But yeah, no, definitely. I will say Dunkin' gets me every now and then with their refreshers.
I've never
That
had
they
a
have.
drink from there.
Well, to be fair, I mean there's just not a lot of them out there compared to
But the
here. Like
ones
here, there's
that
like
they
every
put,
corner.
I had a donut from Dunkin' maybe like 4 or 5 years ago. I took your grandmother somewhere and I had to wait for her. Me and your brother went. That was
Mhm.
the driest. It was like a
Dry.
saltine cracker. So I don't know if it's still, but I didn't have a drink because I didn't know about their drinks. So then when I come see you,
Mhm.
I'm kind of stuck in my own little world of making my own stuff now. So buying a drink out, it
Yeah.
probably will be good, but I'm just kind of like, let me do this myself real quick, and I'm okay
Yeah,
with it.
because it's still high in sugar, to be fair. Like, and that's what somebody was like. Because I remember the protein drinks came out, the protein refreshers, and I was like, "Well, I want to try it. That sounds good." And so I was like, "It has 15 grams of protein." Da da da. And someone was like, "Doesn't it have heck of sugar?" I was like, "Yeah, like yes, it has
Oh,
sugar." I was like,
yes, see.
"Yeah, but it's like that. That I'm like, I'm not drinking them every day. It's like if I'm gonna have a sweet treat, at least it's a sweet treat that has some protein in it, and not a sweet treat that's just plain sugar. Like that's where I try to find some bonus there. sometimes, like if I'm gonna eat something, is there some kind of benefit to it? And it doesn't always have to be like you're allowed to have those things. But just like finding a better balance now, where there were times where I'd be like, I'd eat 2 slices of cake. I'd be like, oh, this is delicious. Like I don't move as much like when I used to as a dance teacher, where I'm like dancing all day and then I go to take a dance class, so like that. So those calories don't burn as fast anymore.
Right.
So they stick a bit
No,
more on me.
that's
So
true.
yeah.
They
But
have
no,
some
that
good
that was another
side
thing.
stuff though, but yeah.
The side, you mean like wait, you Dunkin'?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Got you. Yeah, they have their tater tots are good. Their little hash browns. What would you say is the moment you felt misunderstood as a parent? Or was there a moment, if
Oh,
anything?
it's probably so many moments, but
I was saying there's probably a lot, yeah.
I think I'm gonna say because sometimes things happen, and obviously I try not to put my problems on you all. So if I'm a little
Mhm,
moody or was a little have been a little moody or a little snappy, it is misunderstood for maybe being rude or
mhm.
standoffish or yelling at you all. Um, in fairness, though, to you all, because you don't know what's going on, it is. But for me, it's like, okay, well, like they're misunderstanding, but then it's that moment, like, well, yeah, Kiana, they're misunderstanding because they don't know. So I think
Yeah.
that's probably like the main thing. So I'm better now, kind of being like, my energy is off, my mood is off. If I don't feel well, if I'm going through a flare up, a migraine, whatever of many, things that I have going on with me, then I'm
Mhm,
better off just being like, hey, this is what it is. Now, I may say that depending on which child it is, they may or
mhm.
may not understand.
Yeah.
Typically, only child 1 and 2 understand. 1, 2, and 4.
I would
Yeah.
say, well, we're well, outside of 4, being the oldest, yeah,
Yeah.
that makes
One, two,
sense,
and
so.
four understand. 3, 5, and 6.
One day. Yeah. No, as us being older, that makes sense. Also, we
Yeah.
just like usually don't need to tap you for much. Yeah. So,
Right.
no, that makes sense. Okay. Yeah. I could see that for sure. Yeah, having things happening, but like
Mm-hmm.
also still having to be a mom. So going back to also that balance factor of where, things have to happen no matter what
Mm-hmm.
also is happening. So that makes sense.
And you still got to show up, just like I got to show up to work. Like,
Exactly.
hey, but kind of sometimes I might be at work quiet and they kind of know, like, maybe she's in one of her personalities today, but she said good morning and, she's
Hmm.
working. But
Yeah.
things still happen, you know? You can't stop them. It's life. It's just going to keep going on and on and on.
Keep going. Keep moving. Yeah. In regards to growth, let's talk about that. We've talked about this a bit as well in Adventures to Motherhood. So we're just gonna like kind of dip in real quick. How do you think you've grown as a parent over time? You kind of talked about it a little bit within the episode so far, also. But if there's
Hmm.
anything that you haven't mentioned, I'm curious about.
Hmm. I don't feel like I'll ever stop growing as a parent until the day I leave this earth because you just, as in life, you keep learning and learning and learning and learning. You learn new things all the time, as long as you're open to learning. Let me say that.
Yeah.
Um, Growth recently. I'm just gonna keep going back to patience. Like I was an impatient person.
Yeah.
So I would go back to patience and patience and understanding is something that I can honestly take accountability for and say that I lacked several years while
Mm,
being a mother. So,
okay.
continuing to grow with that.
Okay.
And sometimes when I'm deadbeat tired, there was a day the other day I was beat down tired, and just being able to listen for 5 minutes to what they were trying to tell me and then being like, okay, can you give me like 15 minutes? I just walked in the house. I was in traffic for an hour and a half. Just give me like 15 minutes and then we can pick up this conversation. versus,
Mm-hmm.
dang, I just got here. Get out my room. I'm tired. It's received a different way. And then I kind of feel like when you respond like that, that can start causing trauma.
Mm-hmm.
So just me having the realization of handling things different and continuing to grow with my communication with you all as my children is helpful also. So I'm gonna say
Mm-hmm.
patience, understanding, communication, and making sure that I take accountability for when I F up as a mother.
Yeah, which and then it's also good to know it's like those things are going to happen, which is
Mhm.
why I brought this topic. It's like, hey, this is mom's first time too, or parents' first time, guardians' first time too, and they're gonna make mistakes. Like people make mistakes, and they're gonna make mistakes. But I think it's really important. Like that's why we're talking about growth. It's like growing from them,
Right,
which I think is like you said, like you've discovered like certain paths and things like that, and hey, maybe that didn't go so well. Maybe we'll try this way, things like
right.
that. So that's very true. And you definitely have more patience now. So
I don't know
that's a
where it came
bonus.
from. I think you know what it is. I have more patience in my
Mhm.
personal life. See, I think back then I had more patience at work, and I was like, oh, work, 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 work. And I didn't have
Mhm.
patience at home. But now I look at things so much different. Like, you
Mhm.
blessed when you have a job, you got a good job, you blessed, but at the end of the day, you replaceable. Your patience, your love, your understanding need to go into your family. And
Yeah.
when you start looking at stuff like that, then it's like, okay, at work, I'm not rude. Not at all. I'm straightforward. I'm very, not I mean like with my clients, not I mean my coworker, love her down. But she's not just my coworker. We have history before where we are working at now. But what I'm saying to sum it up is I decided to put all of that back into my household, and that's what allowed me to have understanding that I have.
Gotcha. And I like that one actually because that wasn't something I considered. It's like
Mm-hmm.
you're pouring more of your energy into one place that doesn't really necessarily deserve it. And
Mm-hmm.
then, then there's uh your other place, specifically your family, your home, that's kind of missing on that. So yeah,
Exactly.
I didn't think about the work aspect of taking all that away, but that's really true, especially when
Right.
you're like
Because
working for money and
right. And you
trying
all
to
were
keep a
getting me
roof.
after the fact, after I've gotten up at 5:30, did the long commute, had a whole day, came back and did the commute back home, and then I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
no. So when
Yeah,
I reversed that, then it was like, okay, and even if I'm beat down, it's just communicating that in a way that whichever level of child I'm talking to could
yeah,
understand that and just kind of let me sigh for a moment.
take a pause, and that's where
Yeah.
the communication part comes in. We're just like, hey,
Right.
just need a few, and so then everybody's aware and everybody's on the same page.
Right.
Um, in regards to just general conversation, um, what advice would you give to new parents who feel like they're still figuring it out?
Tap in with yourself. Um,
Mm.
read a book. Um,
Got
I
any
read a
recs?
book. I read a book. I think I mentioned this on your other podcast, but this book was amazing. It's called The Garden Within. Beautiful book. Actually, you know what? Side note, sorry, she got a new book that was released in March, and I totally forgot about it. I thought I put it on my calendar. I forget the name of that one. But The Garden
Oh,
Within, Dr. Anita Phillips.
Anita Phillips.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is a beautiful book. Um, but outside of that, take a walk, get some air, sit in your backyard. If you don't have a backyard, sit on your balcony, sit on your porch. Just take a moment for yourself.
Or even if you don't have one of those either, just go outside.
Well, you gotta have a porch to get in your front door.
Well, I don't have a porch, for example. What if they're
Oh,
in, in an
sorry.
apartment or something?
Sorry. Well, those of us who are living smack in the city, okay, no, but in front of the window, and I'm not being funny, I'm being serious, just to
Yeah.
feel the air, take time to actually feel the air, like it's like, what do you smell? To kind of like tap in with yourself. You're walking, you feel the breeze, but do you actually feel the breeze? Do you actually
Mm,
feel excuse me, do you actually smell what's outside, whatever it may be? Get you a candle, a non-toxic candle, but get you
yeah.
a candle. Just get you some things and just have that moment. I don't care if it's 5 or 10 minutes, your showers, your bath bombs, things that seem so little. Like, people are like, oh, I'm gonna go get me some bath bombs, but something like that or a shower bomb could really be so relaxing to someone that is like stressed out, new baby. Maybe you have twins, maybe you have triplets, maybe you have support, but that support is at work. Maybe you have no support. You just need to take those moments for yourself. Little moments
Mm,
for me is what keep me going. I need like one big moment, but I don't have that option right now. I gotta keep pushing. But little moments are really helpful. Every
yeah.
day. Every day. That would be my advice. It's not about I'm about to go with my friends and turn up. Okay, maybe you might want to, but after you turn up, then what? You still gonna need that moment for yourself. So that's why I'm
Yeah.
saying just
True.
really self-care. If you can't take a full day, a half a day, 30 minutes, 20 minutes, maybe you only got 10 minutes, but just tap in with yourself for that time,
Yeah. Okay.
regardless
No,
of
I like.
age. Let me say that,
Yeah.
because it could be a young mom, okay? It could be an older mom. It could be a caretaker for, someone that is caretaking for a child. Just tap in with yourself.
Yeah. I like that because then you're also thinking like I thought about the idea of like tapping in with your senses, even like take
Mm-hmm.
that pause. Yeah. What would you say to children, whether they're like even my age children, who are still trying to better understand their parents? Do you have any notes on that?
Hmm.
And it can
So,
be small.
well, my response is a little different because I also realize that I've seen a lot of situations where people have said that their parents have not been so kind and so open. And if that's the case, I'm still going to tell that child, and I'm saying child, you know,
Yeah.
20s, 30s, whomever, you got to
Hmm.
put yourself first because some people are meant to be parents,
Yeah.
respectfully, but some people are not.
I agree.
But in a case where you have an amazing mother, father, grandmother, aunt, uncle, whoever raised you, just give them some grace, and also be open with having a conversation with them. Like, hey, mom, I noticed you kind of been off. You having a bad day? Are you okay? Some moms may say something. Some moms always want to protect themselves, and they may not say
Mhm.
anything. But just
Mhm.
knowing that the child cares, enough to ask, or sometimes it's a light bulb moment, like, woo, I'm kind of off track. It's noticeable. Like, let me get myself together, but just show them
Mhm.
some grace because life be life.
Yeah.
Even for y'all,
Hmm.
high school, junior high,
All the
elementary on
way.
the playground, okay,
Right.
out at work. But,
Mhm.
I think it really goes both ways. Us saying, hey,
Yeah.
you okay? How's work? And then, you all saying, hey, you okay? How are you? It really
I,
goes both ways. It's that open line of communication.
I was just about to say that. Yeah, I think the idea is communication because in my I would agree with that perspective. I think for me, you were talking about grace and it rolled into communication. I think for me it would be communication, just period, because I think that's what helped me for sure. And I think literally like you said, like when that communication started a bit, there was a little bit of friction, and I think we had talked about that for sure in Adventures of Motherhood, where it was like, whoa, 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 like, am I willing to
Whoa,
accept
whoa,
that
whoa, whoa, whoa.
information? But then like starting, I think for me actually being like, hey, this is how I'm feeling right now.
Mm-hmm.
and this is what this is what I don't appreciate that happened, or this or that. Actually saying things instead of my usual used to be like really holding stuff in, and then kind of being a bit passive aggressive, which didn't help. It wasn't purposeful, but that's also what happened. So then I think for when that did start, while there was friction for that, I think that was also just a transition period
Mm-hmm.
of the relationship. Okay, this is where we're headed now. That open communication is important to keeping things, having understanding on each end, because then it opens up communication for the parent to then be like, hey, okay, let me listen to this. Here's the information that I'm feeling, da 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 da, and then it goes from there. So I definitely think talking just gives more understanding on both sides of where everyone is at. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
just in life in general, you know.
I
Yeah,
agree.
because you don't know what's going on up here until you do.
Mm-hmm. And it can be
Yeah.
taken the wrong way, and it's not meant for you. But in my case, a lot of times my delivery can be wrong. So that's why I try to, if I don't say exactly what it is, I could just be like, oh, I'm overwhelmed.
Mm,
Or my energy is like bad. Like, give me a second.
yeah.
I think that's helpful rather than having a conversation, knowing that I'm off
You're
track.
not ready for it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Whatever it may
Mm,
be. You could be like, girl, guess what happened on the subway today? I could be like, what? And you like, girl, I
mhm.
don't even want to tell you my story no more. And
Yeah.
then later on, I'm kind of like, oh, what happened on the subway? And you like nothing.
Never
Like,
mind.
girl, mind your business 3,000 miles away. Don't worry what happened to you. So
Yeah.
I'm saying, so things don't seem like that. I try to, even if I know I'm like, I try to just say like, hey, this is X, Y,
Today's a
and Z.
bad day, et
Yeah.
cetera, et
Or
cetera.
just a
Yeah.
moment, because I don't try to not talk for the whole day, but like just give me a
Yeah.
moment so I can get myself together so I'm not projecting that on whomever I'm talking to.
No, yeah. No, that yet. No. So keyword here is for the people listening, communication. That's what I keep
Mm-hmm.
hearing. Like communication, communication, communication. Easier said
Yep.
than done because everybody has a different like growing up experience. But like I just said
Mm-hmm.
too, like that was something that was learned over time a bit more. It wasn't
Yeah.
something that came in, to be honest, it was more so like adulthood, like young adulthood
Mm-hmm.
is where that kind of came into play. So that's the key takeaway I would give there. Um so I guess for me, communication is a key takeaway. Do you have one thing you want people to take away from this conversation on your end?
Put your family first.
Mm-hmm.
Um, let me say this because I don't want to just say, people like, oh, family, family. No. If you have a good supportive family, then put your family first. If you don't have a good supportive family, hopefully there's room for that relationship to blossom, whatever that may be. But
Mm-hmm.
just keep your family first at this point, at any point. But I can say I look at things different. Those who are there for me, I'm there for them. Now, if you got some people that's not there for you, I'm definitely not saying be there for them. Keep them where they at. Pray on it and let it be. But outside of that, then keep your family first.
Yeah, and then also found family, like that's the thing. Like the friends you meet along the way, who those that are those like close knit people, that also plays a part. So, and I know a lot of
Oh
people,
yeah.
mhm, who may have not had the best, biological family
hmm
situations, but then they end up finding like really close friends or things along the way that end up being their family.
That's who I
Yeah.
have some that are I use the term friend lightly at this point in my
Yeah.
life because
Yeah.
my circle is like a something, I don't know. But anyway,
Yeah.
if you have those people in that I don't know, then keep them close too because yeah, you don't
Yeah.
need if you have true friends or true associates, then keep them, I would say also, because you don't find people like that, really anymore.
Yeah. Protect
So
your
if you
bubble. And
have
I think it's fine to be small.
I
Yeah.
do too. And I'm sometimey. I own that. I'm very sometimey. It's not personal. If you know me, you know me. I be in my little box, in my little cubby hole.
Yeah. Hmm. Alrighty then. Well, I think this wraps it up. You got some key takeaways to listeners out there. I think this was a good conversation to just kind of get a mother and daughter perspective. You get also firstborn daughter, eldest daughter perspective a little bit, with also like teen mom perspective, who's no longer a teen mom, very much a full
Ooh.
mom. So that gives a little bit more layers there, and I'd love to hear any additional thoughts y'all have. So feel free to drop those in the comments for either perspectives there and what you thought about this conversation. Make sure you're following at the Introvert Social Hour on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you're following this podcast for bonus episodes, all additional content. Get some sunshine, get some air, have an amazing week, and I'll see you next week on the Introvert Social Hour. Bye.
Bye bye.